Something looks different, right? Hey everybody! So if you can't tell, I mean, yeah, I'm wearing different glasses, but that's beside the point. I got a ring light! You can see all of my face in a good light, and it's like nice, except the only thing is that I wear glasses, so I had to figure out a way to sit so that you can't see like the ring in between. So I kind of have it up and then tilted, but I think it's okay. If you can kind of see the ring in my glasses, I'm sorry, but I don't know how to get rid of that. I don't wear contacts, so you're just gonna have to live with it like I have to live with it. So for anybody who knows me, they know that I am a little bit obsessed with a certain musical. So over the holidays I got a book, and it is the Hamilton Papers, and basically this is all of the real documents that are talked about in the show in this book. And if you remember anything from like 8th grade history, Old English is incredibly hard to understand. It's very roundabout the way that they talk, and it's very just it's weird. So I figured what I would do is I've already chosen one of the documents to talk about, and I'm basically gonna do a modern translation to make it a little bit more easy to understand, and also if you're a history nerd like I am, you can better understand not just the documents themselves, but also the musical if you don't know. So the documents that I have chosen are the duel letters, which are kind of my favorite of all of the things that are talked about in the show. It's the letters that are sent back and forth from Hamilton to Burr leading up to their duel that ultimately ends in Hamilton's death. I always thought they were super interesting, and especially in the musical they talk about it a little bit. Burr starts it all by just, writing one letter, and it's barely a paragraph long, and he gets a response that is pages. And it's just that constant back and forth of like always trying to one-up each other and just always being like above each other. I just love that kind of conflict, I guess. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna read the actual paper itself to you, and here and there it'll cut away to basically the modern translation, or how I would say these things to somebody. So let's get started. I've already lost the page. I want to get some educational sounding music. Alright. To Alexander Hamilton from Aaron Burr, 18 June 1804. So this is just a few days before the duel happens. Sir, I send for your perusal a letter signed D. Cooper, which, though apparently published some time ago, has but very recently come to my knowledge. Mr. Van Ness, who does me the favor to deliver this, will point out to you the clause of the letter to which I particularly request your attention. Hey man, so Coop showed me this letter from like a long time ago just now, and there's one part of it that I kind of want you to look at because it kind of seems a little bit shady to me. You might perceive, sir, to the necessity of a prompt and unqualified acknowledgement or denial of the use of any expressions which could warrant the assertions of Dr. Cooper. But he'll show you which part I'm talking about, so if you could just get back to me after you read that and just kind of explain a little bit, that'd be really cool. I have the honor to be your obedient servant. Not super mad yet. A. Burr. And now here we have, that was kind of nice, kind of simple, very short and to the point. And now we have the response. 20th of June, 1804. Sir, I have maturely reflected on the subject of your letter of the 18th instant, and the more I have reflected, the more I have become convinced that I could not, without manifest impropriety, make the avowal or disavowal which you seem to think necessary. Hey man, so I read your letter and I'm still not gonna say yes or no. The clause pointed out by Mr. Van Ness is in these terms. I could detail to you a still more despicable opinion which General Hamilton has expressed of Mr. Burr. To endeavor to discover the meaning of this declaration, I was obliged to seek in the antecedent part of the letter for the opinion to which it is referred, as having been already disclosed. I found it in these words. General Hamilton and Judge Kent have declared in substance that they looked upon Mr. Burr to be a dangerous man and one who ought not to be trusted with the reins of government. Apparently, I may or may not have said that you were a dangerous man and shouldn't be allowed in politics. The language of Dr. Cooper plainly implies that he considered this opinion of you, which he attributes to me, as a despicable one. But he affirms that I have expressed some other, still more despicable, without however mentioning to whom, when, or where. And Coop says I've said even worse things, but I don't really know what you're talking about. 'Tis evident that the phrase, still more despicable, admits of infinite shades, from very light to very dark. How am I to judge the degree intended? Or how shall I annex any precise idea to language so indefinite? Because, I mean, you're asking basically, have I talked shit on you? Short answer, yes. Between gentlemen, despicable and more despicable are not worth the pains of a distinction, where therefore you do not interrogate me as to the opinion which is specifically ascribed to me. I must conclude that you view it as within the limits to which the animadversions of political opponents upon each other may justifiably extend, and consequent as not warranting the idea of it, which Dr. Cooper appears to entertain. If so, what precise inference could you draw as a guide for your future conduct, were I to acknowledge that I had expressed an opinion of you still more despicable than the one which is particularized? Long answer, I've talked so much I don't know what in particular you're talking about, so if you could be like a little bit more specific, that would be fantastic. How could you be sure that even this opinion has exceeded the bounds which you would yourself deem admissible between political opponents? But I forbear further comment on the embarrassment to which the requisition you have made naturally leads. The occasion forbids a more ample illustration, though nothing would be more easy than to pursue it. Repeating that I cannot reconcile it with propriety to make the acknowledgment or denial you desire, I will add that I deem it inadmissible, on principle, to consent to be interrogated as to the justness of the inferences which may be drawn by others from whatever I have said of a political opponent in the course of a 15 years competition. Like I said, you're going to have to be more specific because I've written literally so much in my life that I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. If there were no other objection to it, this is sufficient, that it would tend to expose my sincerity and delicacy to injurious imputations from every person who may at any time have conceived the import of my expressions differently from what I may then have intended or may afterwards recollect. I stand ready to avow or disavow promptly and explicitly any precise or definite opinion which I may be charged with having declared of any gentleman. More than this cannot fitly be expected from me, and especially it cannot be reasonably expected that I shall enter into an exclamation upon a basis so vague as that which you have adopted. I trust, on more reflection, you will see the matter in the same light with me. If not, I can only regret the circumstance and must abide the consequences. The publication of Dr. Cooper was never seen by me till after the receipt of your letter. So I hope that when you get this, you kind of understand, like I do, like, you gotta be more specific because, like, there's just so much that I've said about you that I just don't know what's true anymore. But I will say that everything that I may or may not said, it's all sincere, and I put everything that I said very delicately so that it wouldn't hurt your tiny little heart. I have the honor to be, sir, your obedient servant. May or may not be guilty. A. Hamilton. That hurt my brain to read. I'm reading it directly from the book and I was having trouble. Like, the way that they spoke and wrote back then, oh my god. Okay, and this is the response to the response. 21st of June, so we got back very quickly. Sir, your letter of the 20th has been this day received. Having considered it attentively, I regret to find it in nothing of that sincerity and delicacy which you profess to value. So none of that was sincere or delicate, and I don't really know what you're talking about. Political opposition can never absolve gentlemen from the necessity of a rigid adherence to the laws of honor and the rules of decorum. I neither claim such privilege nor indulge it in others. I guess I'm sorry that you didn't understand what I was talking about because I think your brain is as small as you're saying my heart is, but we'll get to that. The common sense of mankind affixes to the epithet adopted by Dr. Cooper the idea of dishonor. It has been publicly applied to me under the sanction of your name. The question is not whether he has understood the meaning of the word or has used it according to syntax and with grammatical accuracy, but whether you have authorized its application either directly or by uttering expressions or opinions derogatory to my honor. And whether he thinks you said worse things about me or not. Like, I'm not talking about grammar, you know, we're not in grade school anymore, him, buddy, old pal. I'm more concerned about the fact that he used despicable with your name in it. The time when is in your own knowledge, but no way material to me, as the calamity has now first been disclosed so as to become the subject of my notice, and as the effect is present and palpable. Even though we're not like the same, political party, or we're not at the same stance or whatever, you can still be nice to me. Like, we can still be friends. Like, you just gotta own up to everything that you've ever said about me, ever. Your letter has furnished me with new reasons for requiring a definite reply. What other things have you said? Are you still not gonna tell me? Because I really kind of want to know. I have the honor to be, sir, your obedient servant. Getting kind of salty. And he actually sent another letter, I think 2 days after that. He sent another letter the next day. Sir, Mr. Van Ness has this evening reported to me verbally that you refuse to answer my last letter, that you consider the course I have taken as intemperate and unnecessary, and some other conversation which is improper that I should know this. My request to you was in the first instance proposed in a form the most simple in order, that you might give to the affair that course to which you might be induced by your temper and your knowledge of facts. So now you're refusing to answer my letters? I thought you were better than that, man. I mean, I sent you one trying to be nice about it, but now I definitely need you to understand that, I need answers. I relied with unsuspecting faith that from the frankness of a soldier and the candor of a gentleman I might expect an ingenuous declaration, that if, as I had reason to believe, you would use expressions derogatory to my honor, you would have had the spirit to maintain, or the magnanimity to retract them, and that if from your language injurious inferences had been improperly drawn, sincerity and delicacy would have pointed out to you the propriety of correcting errors which might thus have been widely diffused. I was hoping that, somebody who fought in a war with me, or, has been in the political scene and has, presented himself as this pompous gentleman, would give me a little bit of insight and friendship. With these impressions, I was greatly disappointed in receiving from you a letter which I could only consider as evasive, and which in manner is not altogether decorous. So I'm a little disappointed in you that, you kind of evaded me a little bit with your last letter, and also with this time in not writing back at all. Aren't you kind of known for that? You think you could just, pick up your little quill and, scribble a little note to me just saying, yeah, I did this. In one expectation, however, I was not wholly deceived, for at the close of your letter I find an imitation, that if I should dislike your refusal or acknowledge to deny the charge, you were ready to meet the consequences. So, now you kind of brought it upon yourself that, whatever happens next is definitely going to be your fault because, you just keep refusing to answer me, man, and it's not cool. This I deemed a sort of defiance, and I should have been justified if I had chosen to make it the basis of an immediate message. Yet, as you had also said something, though in my opinion unfounded, of the indefiniteness of my request, as I believe that your communication was the offspring rather of false pride than of reflection, and as I felt the utmost reluctance to proceed the extremities, while any other hope remained, my request was repeated in terms more definite. To this you refuse all reply, proposing, as I am bound to presume on the tender of an alternative insinuated in your letter. Thus, sir, you have invited the course I am about to pursue, and now by your silence impose it upon me. If therefore your determinations are final, of which I am not permitted to doubt, Mr. Van Ness is authorized to communicate my further expectations either to yourself or to such friend as you may be pleased to indicate. So Van Ness is going to talk to you, or, a friend if you have one of those, and he'll let you know what we plan to do next. I have the honor to be your obedient servant. Definitely salty now. A. Burr. And now we have the final letter. This is Hamilton's response to both of those letters. Same day. June 22nd, 1804. Sir, your first letter, in a style too peremptory, made a demand in my opinion unprecedented and unwarrantable. In your first letter you just weren't clear enough. I just, figured you didn't want a definite answer. And I don't think you deserved an answer, to be honest. My answer, pointing out the embarrassment, gave you an opportunity to take a less exceptional course. So I gave you an out by not giving you a yes or a no. I gave you an out to, reword yourself and make it a little bit more clear. You have chosen not to do it. But by your last letter received this day, containing expressions indecorous and improper, you have increased the difficulties to explanation, intrinsically incident to the nature of your application. If by a definite reply you mean the direct avowal or disavowal required in your first letter, I have no other answer to give than that which has already been given. And based on your second letter that you sent me today, you've just made it even more difficult for me to get an explanation out of you, so I'm still not gonna answer. I mean, isn't your whole thing about waiting for it? If you mean anything different admitting of a greater latitude, it is requisite you should explain. Yeah, I'm still not gonna tell you whether or not I said all that stuff about you because I just don't want to be honest. I have the honor to be, sir, your obedient servant. See you in Weehawken. A. Ham. So I hope you enjoyed that. It was kind of really dorky and kind of dumb, but I really wanted to make it because I really love this musical a lot and I really love to talk about the history, and you're kind of the only people I can talk to the history about. So that don't get bored of me directly to my face. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I had a lot of fun making this. I've had this idea for a long time, and now that I'm finally on spring break, I can finally start making all of my ideas become realistic. And I'm probably gonna have a lot of time to film things in the future because we're getting apparently the biggest snowstorm of the season tonight into tomorrow, and I'm really excited to continue using my ring light. It's so nice. I love the way that there's no shadows, and it's just fantastic, and it's good, and things are starting to get more high quality. Next step is getting a better microphone. If you enjoyed, please leave me a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and leave me a comment down below letting me know what else you want to see. If you want to see any of my old friends come back for another collab, or if you want to see some challenges or some song suggestions, leave it all down there. I will see you sometime. I don't know, I try to make a schedule for myself and I always end up failing really hard because college is a thing that I'm doing right now. So yeah, that's it for now, and I will see you eventually. Bye! Bye! Now, alright, so that's reading it. Now I gotta do a little freaking interval translation. I wanna see what this looks like first. What I was gonna do is, for anybody who knows me in real life, or even if you just like look at my phone, which I don't know, it's in my pocket. If there were no other objection to it, this is sufficient, that it would tend to expose my sincerity and delicacy to injurious imputations from every person who may at any time have conceived the important... Ooh, I messed that up. Whoa. And oh, sorry, this just poked me in the neck and I remembered. Since the choker trend is coming back, I decided that I would try it out, and I don't know if it's a good look or not. What do you think? And over the holidays, I got this book. It's called The Hamilton Papers, and if you don't know what that is, it's basically all of the real documents that are talked about in the musical, but written in the old English that it was, you know, originally done in. So it's, you know, that was really bad. And now we have that response from Hamilton, 22nd of June, 1804. Sir, Mr. Van Ness has this evening reported to me verbally that you refused to answer my last letter. Oh no! Whoops, sorry. I said that wrong. I have the honor to be, sir, your obedient servant, A. Ham. Whoops.